So if you're trying to be an affiliate who just publishes like tons and tons of pages without any insight whatsoever about how these pages can be helpful to users. And if you're just trying to rank for a certain keyword with a huge volume and all, that's not going to work. And I think that Google has been trying to actually remove all these, I would call them fake affiliates. And why fake affiliates? If you just write something that doesn't make any sense, and if you add many CTAs on your page and you expect people to actually click and then you just make money, that get quick rich scheme for me, and it's not going to work. And actually, I think that affiliates should think about their sites not just as landing pages, but as, of course, if you're doing some kind of reviews, you should actually be the person who actually tried the product or service that you're talking about, and then that people will recognize this. So if you're actually the user of the product or service, people will recognize this and will follow your advice. And I would say that's like the biggest stake for me, at least.
I'm John Wright, and you're listening to Affiliate BI, the business intelligence and affiliate marketing podcast brought to you by Snapstrong. Welcome to the Affiliate BI podcast. Today we're chatting with Dragan Berak, who is the head of SEO at Gentoo Media. And before that, he was head of SEO at Gaming Innovation Group. And before that, head of SEO at SEO Global for Gentoo Media, being in charge of AskGamblers. So we're going to talk about SEO and iGaming today. Dragan, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to ask one of these traditional SEO questions, which is SEO dead, not just in general, but is it going to be dead next year in 2025? We're dealing with AI content, Google Core updates. Every affiliate seems to be complaining about SEO. And I actually think it might be one of the better times to be in SEO. So I want to get your take on this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that all you have to do is just go to Google and type SEO industry worth, and you'll see that it's almost, I think, 80 billion in 2024. So I think that companies are investing in SEO a lot. And I think that the prediction till 2030 is going to be $200 billion. So I'm pretty sure that SEO is not dead. And, and every time I get this question, I'm in a position to justify myself I'm not going to do that. There are people who think that SEO is dead, but I think that we should observe like a general picture here. SEO is only one of the channels of internet marketing. And I think that we should be focusing on that. It's not like SEO is some kind of detached service on the internet, and then we can talk about it like separately. I think that we should actually divide internet marketing into two main categories. It's like interruption based and intention based. And I think obviously SEO is like the intention based marketing. So you already you made a decision that you want to buy something, and then you go to Google and you search for it, or any other search engine for that matter. So I think it's not that, yes.
Would you say that the concept of interruption based as like a marketing concept within SEO, would you say that separates the great SEOs from just the good ones?
I thought the interruption based, I meant more like social media. So when you go to Instagram or any other social media channel, you are browsing to get either more information or to get entertained. And then all of a sudden you see some commercials, some ads, and that's what I meant interruption based. But in sense of interrupting people during the Google search, yes, there are all sorts of techniques you can use. The other day, I just read the article, Glenn Gabe published that, how people are abusing that button and trying to make their websites look like Google Discover. So you're actually not sure if you're on Google Discover or you're actually still browsing their site. And obviously with that technique, they're trying to increase click-through rate and all that. And of course, that messes up with Nat Boost. Yeah, there are a lot of techniques that people are employing, but I'm completely against it because at the end of the day, users would be annoyed, and I don't go there, I think. Yeah.
Okay, now I got a challenging question, which is something I've experienced personally in doing SEO, which is analysis paralysis. There's many ways of trying to solve a problem. And I think where a lot of people happen to just operate is they don't do a lot of things because they're worried about making a mistake. Like what's at stake here is your site getting penalized and just going down. There's even SEO consultants where like their livelihoods at stake. So I want to ask a tough question. How do you make these, how do you make really good decisions when it comes to SEO?
And great question. Yeah. I think that Kevin Indig wrote about that like a couple of years ago, and he talked about these SEO first principles. And I think that we should all, before we even think about doing something advanced on our sites, we should stick to the basics. And he outlined a couple of these, like the main, not the main, but like the ranking factors that we know that are ranking factors. And I think we should stick to that first, back to the square one. So you should check your content, links, internal linking, all this boring work, quote unquote, that people are avoiding, and they're like jump straight to the like advanced stuff like schema markup and all that. And I think that you should be really concerned about crawling. If Google can crawl your site, and what's next? There's also this, I think Maslow pyramid, something like that, and moz.com. They have this on their site. You just can find it on Google. So it's really well explained what kind of things you should do first, and then like second, third, fourth. And then if you follow this, like I think that you'll be better off just following like the basics instead of thinking about advanced concepts, because, and that's why I think that's paralysis analysis is all about.
You could spend all day doing this stuff. And I've been there, done that, but sometimes it helps to
Well,
have good SEO friends as mentors to say, hey, here's my situation. And then
yeah.
sometimes the solution, you're like, wow, it's so simple. Just do the analysis and do exactly what you just said. I think that's where it goes over people's heads. It's try to just be the best product or the most useful for
Yeah.
users. It sounds easy, but I think this industry has been caught up in a cycle of going, if I can just create more content and it ranks and I make more money with commissions, it's let's just rinse and repeat.
Yeah, that's just what Google's been saying all the time. Do stuff for your users, not for search engines. And I think that people are like either do not want to understand that, or they're just like neglecting this. Yeah, okay, it's Google. They're just giving some obscure advice so we don't understand. But that's really so true. So if you make your users happy, then of course Google will notice this. I think that Wendy Purcell said Google only loves you when everyone else loves you first. I think that perfectly describes what we should be doing like all the time, just observing things from this, I don't know, bird's eye perspective. And if you manage to make your users happy, I'm more than sure that Google will take notice, and will reward you with more organic traffic.
And that ties into the next question, which is we're both fans of Eli Schwartz, who's got a book called Product Led SEO. And I want to ask a detailed question is what ways would you call a site like Ask Gamblers a complete product and not just another affiliate site?
Yeah, huge fan of Eli and his book. It's all about creating something useful. I know it sounds easy. It sounds okay. Of course, we all know that we need to create useful stuff. But as gamblers, first and foremost, we have this. We have, I would say, three main components of our site, and not just site, but of our product. First, it's definitely complaint service. So so far, I think that we have recovered more than $60 million for users. And I think that's something that people can recognize, and that's why they come back to our site to search, like we're helping them to do something. That's first. Second, I think that's our community. We have a really big, and at first it was only for casino. It was only casino focused, but recently we've introduced as well sports betting as well. So now people can discuss and they can find solutions, and they can ask other members of community how they deal with certain stuff. And of course, third component or last part of this whole product, I would say that this is affiliate. Of course, we try and publish content that would help people to do what they intended to do. And that's it. But what we are trying to achieve here is trying to find like the shortest way from the beginning of their journey till the end. So until they convert, we really try not to stand in their way. So I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. If you're trying to add so many layers of complexity, people will just abandon your site. On the other hand, if you only have one page and you and people land on that page, and then you want them to like convert like instantly. That's not going to work. You need to add something like, here's value, give me something in return. So these three things that I would say that make our product really great.
It's interesting because I just published earlier this week, like an article that said, are communities and forums part of the big rise in search traffic? And to me, it's every time I look at sites that are doing well, they almost all just seem to have a community behind them. And whenever I put that URL in Ahrefs, I'm usually seeing like, I think my quick analysis, I didn't even go through this in extreme detail, but it just looked like everything went up by a factor of 300%, if not more. And I look at that, I'm like, what is community? It's a product, but social
Yeah,
media.
exactly. I couldn't agree more. I think if you just think about it, what Google is trying to, how Google can fight this whole AI thing, I think that's through communities, because that's real people sharing their ideas, commenting on certain stuff. And that's what I would do if I was Google. I would definitely pay more attention to communities. That's like definitely.
Yeah. Cause my take on this was, I'm like, I think this is bottom of funnel content, which complements the rest of your, I don't know, pillars or, yeah, the pillars of your website. So I
Yeah.
think it's like you can have Ask Gamblers without the forum, but I think the forum is really the finer details, which obviously
Yeah,
links users to the reviews and it's a pure complement.
exactly. Yeah. That's what we're trying to accomplish at least.
So I know you follow people like Lily Ray and Glenn Alsop from detail.com. And I just want to get your take. What have you learned from them in the past year when both of them are talking a lot about affiliate sites and in relation to what's happening in the SEO space with all these updates? And
Mhm.
yeah, just as both of them as thought leaders.
Yeah, definitely. Both of them really, I really admire. And I think their takes on affiliate, and usually Lily talks a lot about e-commerce, but also she talks about affiliate as well. I think what I just said, like adding value. So if you're trying to be an affiliate who just publishes like tons and tons of pages without any insight whatsoever about how these pages can be helpful to users. And if you're just trying to rank for a certain keyword with a huge volume and all, that's not going to work. And I think that Google has been trying to actually remove all these, I would call them fake affiliates. And why fake affiliates? Yeah, if you just write something that doesn't make any sense, and if you add many CTAs on your page and you expect people to actually click, and then you just make money, that get quick rich scheme for me, and it's not going to work. And actually, I think that affiliates should think about their sites not just as landing pages, but as, of course, if you're doing some kind of reviews, you should actually be the person who actually tried the product or service that you're talking about, and then that people will recognize this. So if you're actually the user of the product or service, people will recognize this and will follow your advice. And I would say that's like the biggest stake for me at least.
So let's say you were going to either acquire a website and improve it, or you used to do SEO consulting. So let's pretend we're putting your SEO consultant hat on and a small affiliate that's saying, okay, look, this industry is getting really tough to compete in. What should I do? Like my belief is the industry isn't too big that it's an end game where you can't actually make it. So what would you advise for a lot of affiliates? Let's say you're getting like 10 different sites are coming your way. Like how are you
Mhm.
going to do the problem solving to help them actually grow?
Yeah, yeah, great question. And I would say that I would first say what I wouldn't advise. First and foremost, I think that do not try and mimic big players. That's just not going to work. If you try and like copy paste what, for example, what AskGamblers is doing, trust me, you're not going to succeed. And I'm not just saying that that's because I'm biased, but like
It's
just
true.
imagine after 18 years of existence on the internet, you really think that you're just starting off and you think you want to outrank the site. No, it's not going to happen. And right off the bat, you would see that, okay, this is, and then we come to this paralysis analysis, of course. And then what should I do? My advice would be, if you're good at slots, for example, just do slots and do not think about even like targeting some big keywords. Try it small and start small, and then you will expand over time. And I think that's also like justice on the internet. Why? Because just imagine if you were in the other position of a huge affiliate, huge media website, and then all of a sudden, like, site that appeared, I don't know, 2 months ago to just outrank you, it would be really odd because you've been investing like for even 2 decades, a lot in content and all that PR or in media. For example, we have custom graphics on our site. So there's people working on that, and it's full-time job for them. And then you think that with some stock images, you can, yeah, it's definitely, we can now trying that. So that's what I would say. Do not try copy big players and start small. Pick a niche like any other industry. I'm not sure why this is not applicable to affiliates, because if we talk about any other industry, people will tell you start small, pick your niche. And I think that affiliates should behave the same.
I agree. I think it's been a few times this year I've had affiliates ask me, "Do you think I should do complaints?" And I tell them, "No." I said,
Yeah,
"What on AskGamblers and even the other competing ADR service sites, it's a lot of work." Like you said, 18 years. It took a long time for
yeah,
AskGamblers to get to that 60 plus million return to players. It's
exactly.
and then that's like that's I'm sure it's a whole other department.
Yeah, it's similar to like English language. So can we just introduce some other language to be like globally accepted? Yeah, not so fast. So yeah,
Okay. So one thing I want to get into, which I don't think is talked about for me personally too much in our industry, is localization and how to do it properly in regards to SEO. So I interviewed Kira Koroshilova, I think it was quite a few months ago, and she does that. And when I started asking her questions, I'm like, I just remembered all the mistakes I've made over the past 5 to 10 years in localization. So what are your tips for this?
I think for localization, you need to prove that you have a budget for that. And by budget, for example, for Google, okay, you can publish a bunch of pages in some other languages. That's fine. But if you don't continue like with that, with publishing content, you know, being up to date with the latest industry trends and all that, I think that Google will recognize this. I mean, their algorithms, and you will just drop. And I think that what I've seen and what I'm still seeing in our industry, what people are trying to achieve, like publishing tons and tons of pages just for the sake of having content in some other language, and they're not really making it. Of course, initial boost will happen because, okay, Google will come and say, yeah, let's see what's happening here. And then after a while, if you just stop, I don't think you will succeed. And that's what I mean by like a budget. We also have teams working solely on different languages on our site. So we have a team for English, for Portuguese, for Spanish, and for Japanese, also Italian. So they're like full-time job working on a certain language. They're checking content. Everything goes through their hands manually. So before we publish anything, we really check, well, of course, all the facts. We have a lot of different layers of checks, even with legal, what we can publish and whatnot. And I think that's the biggest thing that you should be like worried about. Do you have a budget? If you do, if you have people that can work on a certain language, yeah, go for it. But if not, do not publish, because people think that you will publish one page in, I don't know, Vietnamese, and you expect to rank well for certain keywords in that country. So that's not going to happen. And I think that's the right way to do localization. Just focus on one language first, make sure you like own it, and then go to the next one.
So I think what you're saying is that's all the reasons why you don't want to try to copy a big site like Ask Gamblers and say, I want to build the encyclopedia of casino, which to me, that's what I consider Ask Gamblers.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yes, I agree.
So going to pivot a bit and talk about things on the operator side. Do you think operators don't do enough SEO work on their own? And do you think if they actually did, would that have a benefit to affiliates?
Yes, I think they don't actually devote that much attention to SEO, especially because their sites are usually like JavaScript websites, and we all know that that's a whole different conversation on how to optimize them for JavaScript and all that. And I think that's one of the biggest issues for operators, because in order to look at interactive website where people can actually do something interesting, there's a cost for that. And I think that's their biggest issue with that is JavaScript SEO. Of course, there are a lot of solutions to that. You can use some server side rendering and all that, but I'm not sure that a lot of them are actually doing a great job with that. And how that can help affiliates. To be honest, I wasn't thinking about that much because our job is to send traffic to operators. And I guess it would help if we had some like dedicated pages for certain like products. And oftentimes you go to an operator website and then there's just one link and it's like dynamic. And when you change something on a page, link doesn't change. And it's hard for us to send people to specific areas of their site. And that affects user experience. Actually, yeah, that's when I think about it, I think that's one of the biggest issues we're seeing. If they have absolute URLs that we can target, that would help a lot. And that would improve user experience immensely.
Yeah, it would improve user experience, but I actually think the bottom line would change drastically, which is the conversion rate. Like you're doing all
Oh,
the
yeah.
work to funnel users over to operators and casinos. And it's, if they only have one landing page, it's like, where's the A/B
Yeah.
split testing? Where's the knowledge to know that these links actually convert better? I think by
Yeah.
giving you, the affiliate, more inventory to connect with, I actually think this is part of the missing link. And I think the irony is that if they do this, I think that actually has an SEO benefit for the operator.
Oh yeah, yeah. I also think so. You're completely right. And by UX, I meant if they had better UX, of course, conversion rate would go up, and the like win situation for both of us. But yeah, I think it will come a long way. Till now, I hope that operators will recognize this and not observe us affiliates as like greedy affiliates. It's like a common thing on the internet. Whenever you mention any affiliate, people just go like, "Wow, affiliate." They just want to get money without any work. And I think that this paradigm should change this perspective that affiliates are actually people who are websites, of course, who are reviewing something and giving you like a better perspective of what you can expect for your money and offering you choices. So I think that's like a missing link between like demand and supply.
Yeah. And going back to this concept, like we already touched upon it, that AskGamblers is a product. Do you think affiliate sites need to find more products and not just say, okay, we're going to copy the AskGamblers recipe of doing complaints and forums, but they need to find a way to go, what can we do so we're not fully dependent on Google or the product actually amplifies their SEO?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that as well. Because if we just in the sea of sameness, what's going to happen if we just try and copy each other all the time? And what happens a lot when like SEOs trying to outrank someone, they just go and observe that page because that page is ranking, but they never, maybe that's a too strong word, never, but they usually don't ask themselves, why is this page ranking at all? Maybe Google doesn't have anything better to show to the users who said this is like the best possible solution. And if you're just trying to do a lot of copy pasting, that's not going to work. And being authentic, I think that's the hardest thing in life, not just on the internet, in the affiliate industry, how to be authentic, how to offer something that's, I think the perfect example is Stripe. Before them, not a lot of companies had issues with payment processing and all that. And they like said, it was not an easy problem to solve, but after they done it, I think like everybody knows about Stripe now. So that's the perfect example of how being authentic and how actually solving the problem. And I think the Hormozy, Alex, he said, if you're in business just to make money, you'll have problems. But if you want to solve problems, you'll make money. It's like definitely just think about how you're actually solving something. And I think the money will follow.
I agree. I reference my own thought where it's a lot of people are trying to create like best casinos and best whatever. And then you look at their content, you're like, what's the best about this? Like, this is
Yeah.
either maybe not the best written or you didn't put serious effort into it. And I just think there's an irony that this is where we are today with a lot of affiliate sites that are getting pushed down by Google. Google's been saying for years that we're going to enforce quality. And I think we finally are starting to see it. And yeah, when you actually talk to people that are the best in this industry, for me, I start noticing patterns. I'm like, wait a minute, they spend a lot of time and effort into this. Like they actually
Yeah.
do what you said. They go very deep on the user, solving problems. And I think other people, they keep going, oh, I've lost more revenue, which is their problem. And they're trying to just solve the revenue problem, not like, why should Google care about?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's only the consequence of not doing a great job. Like it's the same as what Simon Sinek. He says, "Let's start with why are you in this business? If it's only to make money, you're wrong. And money is only a consequence of a great work. And so, not a lot of people know why they do what they do. Some of them know how they do it, and most of them know what they're doing. And I think that's you can find it as well on the internet. It's amazing talk. I would highly recommend that. I think he explains perfectly how basically the whole world functions, like on these three levels: why, how, and what. And if you manage to understand your why, if you know your why, then you will definitely make great choices for your audience and offer them solutions, of course.
And I think just pivoting into the topic of M&A, it's like, why would a big company want to acquire a small site if it doesn't have a why, if it doesn't have a
Yeah.
product, if it's just another informational site, or if it really isn't the best at anything?
Yeah, exactly. So what's the point? If you're just adding more pages to your inventory, it could be helpful for a while, but over time it will just disappear.
Yeah. So I want to pivot again because I get inspired by people and books and things. But one website that comes to mind when this is the question I want to ask you: what are some websites that you find inspirational as a product or great user experience? And the one that comes to mind for me as they put in the little details. It's detail.com. Like the way they have mouse over and I'm like, it makes me actually think about the website even more than just not another SEO blog that does have amazing content. So what are ones that you follow, whether it's in iGaming or outside of it?
Yeah, you got me there. There's a lot of websites that I've been following recently, but websites that like inspire me is sometimes they're not really connected to any they're not connected to affiliates industry. Believe it or not, recently I've been looking at the New York Times. Why? Because they have an amazing sitemap. Not sure if you noticed, but if you go to their sitemap, it's you can find an article like 50 years ago. They really did it, like they did a great job. And someone like spent a lot of time doing this, and someone like every single article and on any topic you can imagine that they're going to rank for that. Why? Because they really solved this issue with Google crawling through their pages. And of course, we want to pivot to affiliate websites. I think that we're not often thinking about it. We're just publishing like slots and bonuses and casinos, and we're not actually thinking about, okay, how does Google actually find these pages? Are they like connected throughout the site, or we just rely on like Google, this almighty Google, they will figure it out. But at the end of the day, Google is only a machine. So you need to explain things to a machine in order to understand your website. And I think that's the biggest like hurdle for us. We should be thinking about this all the time. How does Google actually find information, and not just throw everything at them and just expecting that they will understand? And of course, they're going to rank us. And then, of course, oftentimes we get mad at them, or why, how come you don't understand my content? But actually, it's on us most of the time.
Great answer. I have been looking at New York Times, but I think there's a good reason to actually dig and go, okay, what else are they doing that's not just SEO, but is
Yeah,
a byproduct of SEO?
yeah,
It's like they got
yeah.
good SEO because they're doing these things you said.
Exactly, exactly. So they do a lot of things. If you just scratch the surface, you will see great product and great example of a website, if you ask me. And also G2.com, because they're connected to the affiliate industry. They also created some like a product around their services. So yeah, I think there's a lot of inspiration to be found.
I agree. I actually think a lot of people don't copy enough of what they do well, like them and
Yeah.
Clutch and other sites.
Exactly. There's a lot, I think that SEMrush recently they published this new feature like top websites. So I think it's SEMrush slash website slash top, something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but you can go to that portion of their site and you just click and industry, and you pick country, and then you will see like top 100 websites ranking in that industry in a certain country. And it's awesome. You can see a lot of websites maybe you've never heard about, but you can go and check why they rank, why they have like millions and millions of organic visits per month. And then you can start digging and actually try and understand, like reverse engineer why they rank. And there's a lot of things to be learned, and not just for SEO, I think just like for marketing purposes in general.
Yeah, I think that would be insightful. So the last question I have for you is, what do you see as the future of affiliate marketing as it intersects with business intelligence?
Yes, that's a great question. I think that business intelligence and affiliate marketing is especially useful for smaller affiliates. I think like for big players, they will probably most of the time will create their own solutions for business intelligence and BI and all that tracking APIs and stuff. But for small and medium businesses, it's like a paramount. I think it's something they should really think about, and that can solve a lot of problems for them because you don't have to hire people like full time to do that full time for you, and B, like industry knowledge, it's something that you cannot acquire in a year. And then I think that's like a no brainer for me to hire people who know what they do and how they do it. That's usually like even in some cases, decades of work within in an industry, and they can help you to understand your data better. And if you're data driven, especially in the affiliate industry, I think that's a path to success. Otherwise, you're just guessing and you rely on your luck. And I'm not sure you should be relying only on luck in any business.
Okay. You've given me a big challenge, which is how do we find clever ways of getting these BI tools to affiliates when sometimes they don't even know what they look like? When I talk to a
Well,
lot of affiliates, a lot of times they're like, I'll know it when I see it, but I don't even know where to start. And
yeah,
it's just great for a company like ours because people come to us and say, we're looking for help. Like we want dashboards, we want data, but like they don't even know what's on the other side of the fence, which is basically the top companies that, like you said, not only do they have BI departments, but I think BI will always be, you can make it generic for everyone, but I think in your company, it's always going to be unique to you.
yeah, yeah, definitely, because it's really specific. And this is that I think that perfectly correlates to what we talked about like a couple of minutes ago, like finding your niche. So there's, when you say BI, you can do all sorts of stuff, plethora of industries. But if you only focus like for the affiliate, and especially for gambling affiliate, that's really something that chosen your niche. And then you really dig deep. And I think that when you actually present solutions to businesses in that niche, it's like a no-brainer for them. They're just going to hire you. And in my opinion, you should be talking more about the end solution. Like you said, they don't know how to search for it. But yeah, we need data, we need dashboards, we need graphs. We want to understand how we can make money and stuff like that. Like that's top of the funnel content, of course. And some of them will know what they're actually looking for. Quite often they won't, especially if they're new kid on the block. So think about solutions again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. Always enjoy chatting with you. And I want to pass it back to you to ask, how can people get a hold of you if you want them to get a hold of you?
Uh, they can find me on LinkedIn.
We'll
That's
include
it.
the link on LinkedIn for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, John. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Affiliate BI podcast. I'd like to take this time to ask for a small favor to leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. That helps us expand our reach to rank higher in podcast directories and reach more listeners.